I made a horror game in 4 days. I also added 2 monsters, 2 areas, and more. And I made all of this for the GMTK Game Jam. This year the theme was Countdown. And I wanted to try to make a horror game. So I came up with the idea that you are stuck in a long tunnel and your goal is to escape. But the only way to do that is to count down 333 steps with a step counter. I wanted it to be a horror puzzle game, but I quickly scrapped that idea because I suck at making puzzles, so now it's just a horror game. Also, this was my first time using Blender, so the scope had to be small because 3D modeling took some time and I wanted to make all the assets myself. I started day 1 by making the player controller, and when walking I needed the steps to be clear and easy to notice. So I added head bop and a step sound effect every time you step. The player could also sprint, but sprinting would make counting steps harder, but you needed to sprint to escape monsters. Next, I opened up Blender for the first time. What is this? What do all these buttons do? Clearly I had some questions, but don't worry, YouTube is here to save the day. After watching a tutorial on basic Blender modeling, I started modeling the step counter. I also drew a reference image, but I didn't really use it. I think that's because it was straight doo-doo. And now, after hours and hours of modeling, I present to you my magnum opus. Yeah, it's just a step counter. What did you expect? After importing the model into Godot, I made the animations using the Godot animation player. And I made it play a click sound effect every time you press it. Okay, now it's time to play the game. Let's just start the project and it's just an empty void. So you start in the entrance of a long tunnel. Then travel forward and after some time find a lab. And then you do like a puzzle thing and then win. Sounds good to me. So now that I have a map idea, it's time to add it to the game. Starting with the tunnel. First I just made a long plane. Then I added walls and a ceiling. Next I spent like an hour trying to get the lines on the floor to look good. And in the end I still couldn't make it look good. Okay, so I have a tunnel, but it's not scary at all. First let's make it dark. Now it's dark. So it's time to add a monster. And by monster I meant a circle with a red texture on it. What, you thought I was actually gonna model a monster? No, it's the actual monster, I'm not modeling a monster though. Okay, now that we have a model, it's time to add it to the game. So after importing the model, I made it move towards the player and made it play a static noise. I also wanted the static noise to get louder the closer the monster got to the player. So I started writing code for it. But it turns out, Godot has a built-in node which does that for you. Thanks, Juan Linietsky. Next, I made the monster spawn after you hit a trigger in the tunnel, and when it spawns it plays a loud screech which will hurt your ears. Then I noticed a problem. The player couldn't really see. So I added lights at the start of the tunnel and I gave the player a flashlight. Okay, now that the player can see and there is a monster to run from, it's time to go do something. I've been coding for what, like 3 hours? It's been 8 hours? What am I doing with my life? I started day 2 by giving the player a stamina bar so he couldn't run forever. Then I made a checkpoint system which lets you respawn after getting jump scared. I was kinda burnt out from day 1, so that's all I did. On day 3 I started making the lab area and started thinking of what puzzle I could add. But in the end I just made a really simple puzzle with a code lock. And then I kinda just played Arc Raiders for the rest of the day. Okay, it's day 4 and I have 6 hours until I have to submit my game. And I still have to make the whole lab area with a monster and an ending. I'm cooked. First I added doors that are locked until you solve the puzzle. Then I started making a maze with a keycard in it and with a new monster, which is just a bean with a texture on it. I didn't want to give the monster smart pathfinding, so I just made it go to the player's position, but only update the position every 3 seconds. But when you pick up the keycard, he becomes faster and knows where you are all the time. After unlocking the final door, you have to travel down the tunnel until you reach a computer and insert your step counter. Then it shows how many steps you walked and how many steps you counted. And if they don't match, it shows an X, and if they do, it shows a check mark. Yeah, I didn't really have time to make an actual ending. So after grinding for 6 hours, I finally finished the game, and submitted it before the deadline. If you want to try it out, the link is in the description. Oh, and if you're wondering what place I got 4,297 in narrative, and 7,518 in enjoyment. Like and subscribe.